What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today we're going to be talking about how everything is starting to come together for the Philadelphia 76ers, and we're going to jump right into the video. Now, the Philadelphia 76ers have been in the Joel Embiid era for about 9 years now, and over those 9 years, we've seen some bad teams, we've seen some okay teams, and we've seen some really good teams from the Philadelphia 76ers, and my personal favorite teams since the Joel Embiid era has to be the one going into this upcoming NBA season, or the team that had Jimmy Butler. I feel like both of those squads were really good. But nonetheless, the Philadelphia 76ers, since the Joel Embiid era, they cannot get past the second round in the NBA playoffs. And we've seen some unfortunate things happen, like injuries. You can't really plan for things like that. And then also in 2019, Kawhi Leonard, he hit one of the craziest shots in NBA history. So I feel like that's been hovering over the Philadelphia 76ers, things like that, just injuries. And then the Kawhi Leonard shot, that's just some really bad luck. And then also in 2021 to 2022 NBA season, they had to deal with the whole Ben Simmons thing. So once they got past that, they were able to trade Ben away and bring in James Harden. I feel like with the Philadelphia 76ers, what they did this offseason, bringing in all these great pieces, I feel like now it's all starting to come together, and they're going to get that fresh start. And in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys why I feel like the 76ers, they are one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA today. So I feel like this roster that the Philadelphia 76ers are going into this NBA season with is the best team they've had in the Joel Embiid era. When I look at it, it fills out so nicely from the top to the bottom. I feel like to be a good contending team, you have to have, of course, you have to have a great starting five, but you also have to have strength in that second unit. So that's why I love what the 76ers, what they went out and did this offseason. They didn't go and look and try to find another star. They didn't try to get Bradley Beal, or they didn't try to get Donovan Mitchell, but they added quality pieces. And I think that's so important, especially when you already got three guys that are considered to be stars in the NBA. And I know Tyrese Maxey is still young, but he's developing into a star. And then James Harden and Joel Embiid, both of those guys are superstars. And I think with this team, that's where it's going to start at. It's going to start at the top. And we seen this trio last year. They didn't really form into the NBA trade deadline last season, so they didn't get to do training camp together. They just didn't get a lot of time together. They were just formed, and they had to learn with each other on the fly. But now, since they've had a whole off season together, they had training camp, and now they had preseason games. I think they're going to be a much more fluent trio going into this season. Now, when it comes to this trio, we already established one thing that's going to make them better: just getting a training camp together, bonding more, and just getting some preseason games in before the season starts. I think that's going to help them a lot. But another thing that I think is going to make this trio improve drastically is just the simple improvement of Tyrese Maxey. Watching him so far in the NBA preseason, he looks like the best player on the Philadelphia 76ers. And I know that title definitely belongs to Joel Embiid, but I'm just saying that's how well Tyrese Maxey has been playing. And he just looks like he's ready to make that third-year leap that we see other young NBA players make. And there is so much to love about Tyrese Maxey's game. We're literally watching him develop into a dangerous 3-level scorer. Since he's come into the NBA, this is going to be his third year. He's gotten so much better at shooting that 3-ball. He can shoot it off the dribble, and he can also knock it down off the catch now. He has an amazing handle on the ball. He can navigate the pick and roll. He can score in isolation. He can get to the mid-range and get to his spot, and he can pull up. And then his finishing, since he's gotten to the league, has gotten so much better. He can finish through contact. He can finish with both hands. And Tyrese Maxey, the most dangerous thing about him when he has that basketball in his hands is his speed. He is super fast, and you gotta love when a guy possesses that type of athleticism, and he knows how to control it. He knows how to slow down, change up his pace, and as soon as the defense falls asleep, he can step on the gas and he can get all the way to the rim. And also in transition, that speed is uncontainable, so he gets a lot of easy transition buckets. And before we move on, one more thing I want to say about Tyrese Maxey. I love his game so much because it complements two different types of superstars. He can complement James Harden by playing off the ball, being a cutter, knocking down catch and shoot threes. And then he also complements Joel Embiid, getting him the ball in the right spot, and just also running the two-man game with him. So I think Tyrese Maxey, he's he's going to be the driving force, or not the driving force, but he's going to be the guy that makes this trio a lot better this upcoming season. So we have Tyrese Maxey, and I also want to talk about James Harden. So when it comes to James Harden, a lot of people will try to tell you that he's washed, and I think that's one of the dumbest things that NBA fans are saying nowadays, because when you look at James Harden and you look at his numbers with the Philadelphia 76ers for the second half of the season, he put up 21 points per game to go along with 10.5 assists and 7 rebounds, and those are some crazy numbers. And I get it, we've literally watched James Harden play some of the most dominating basketball in NBA history. That crazy year in 2018 when nobody could guard him and he averaged 36 points per game. So I get how it could be hard to watch somebody go from scoring 36 points per game and then 3 years later they're putting up 21 points per game. But to say that he's washed, that is so disrespectful. And I think a lot of it with James Harden is that he went from the Houston Rockets to the Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers, which are completely different teams. In Houston, it was really just him. He was the only guy that could put up that type of production. You go to Brooklyn, you're playing alongside Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and then you go to Philly and you're playing alongside Joel Embiid. So I think a lot of it is just James Harden trying to find his role and find his rhythm. But this upcoming season, I expect a lot from James Harden, and I think he expects a lot from himself. He's been putting in a lot of work, working on his body. He seems to be lean, and I think he's going to be ready physically for this NBA season. And when it comes to his skill set, there's not much I can tell you guys that you don't already know. One of the best one-on-one players in NBA history, has one of the best handles in the NBA, and a part of James Harden's game that has gotten so much better is his playmaking ability. I think this season he might average 11 assists. I could see him averaging 12 with the weapons that they have around him in Philadelphia. But I think this is going to be a big time year for James Harden. I think he's going to set up Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid to be successful. So I'm really excited to see James Harden. And now we're going to talk about Joel Embiid. Now, we established that we were going to see a motivated James Harden this season. I think we're going to see an even more motivated Joel Embiid, and that is scary. Now, Joel Embiid, he's one of the most competitive players in the NBA, and he feels like he is the best at what he does. And last season, him and Nikola Jokic, they were neck and neck for that MVP race, and the NBA ended up voting for Nikola Jokic. And I'm almost 100% sure that Joel Embiid took that personally, and I think he's going to be on a mission this NBA season. So I expect an MVP year from Joel Embiid, and we all know he's more than capable of winning it. He's going to put up crazy numbers. He's going to average 30 points per game, averaging 12 rebounds, getting the blocks, getting the assists. He's just going to be filling the stat sheet. And Joel Embiid, he's the best player on the Philadelphia 76ers. He's one of the most skilled players in the NBA today, and I don't think we really ever seen anything like Joel Embiid. Just the things he can do with the basketball in his hands. He's a center that can face you up from the perimeter, from the three-point line. He can break you down, get to the mid-range, and pull up. He can dominate you with his back to the basket, which is by far the best part of his game. And I'm not talking down on the other parts of his game, but his post game is just elite. Some of the best footwork in NBA history. He has the turn. He can shoot over his shoulder, over both shoulders for the fadeaway. He has the hook. He has the up and under. He has the brute strength, and then he has the soft touch. He's just one of the most complete post players in NBA history. And then all that other stuff is just a nice plus, like being able to knock down jump shots, being able to be effective in the pick and roll as the roll man, and then being able to knock down threes. And then also Joel Embiid, he plays on both sides of the ball. So the Philadelphia 76ers, I think they got themselves a really nice trio. Tyrese Maxey is an up-and-coming star, and then James Harden and Joel Embiid are two motivated superstars. But it don't just stop at the trio with the Philadelphia 76ers. They did a great job this offseason filling out the rest of this roster. They had a lot of great additions this year. Now, what the Sixers did this offseason was severely underrated. I feel like I didn't hear people talking about it enough, but they had a lot of great additions. One of my personal favorites is PJ Tucker, because I feel like if you're trying to win an NBA championship, PJ Tucker, he's the guy you want on your team. He brings so much to the table that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. He knocks down his wide open 3-point shots, and he just plays some tough defense. And they also brought in guys like Anthony Melton, who's another guy that just can do so many things for that second unit. He can dribble, he can shoot, he can create for himself, he can create for others, and then he also plays on the defensive side of the ball. They also brought in Montrezl Harrell, who I love a lot, and he has played with James Harden before, so I think that's going to be very important. And I think playing alongside guys like James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, he's going to benefit from that. He's going to get so many wide open looks, and if it's anything from within 5 feet, that's an easy bucket for Montrezl Harrell. So I love that pickup. And then another underrated pickup who's been looking really good this in the preseason is Daniel House, who has also played with James Harden before. He can guard multiple positions. He can guard down low in the post, and he can also guard out on the perimeter. He's been knocking down his 3-point shots, and then also it looks like he's been adding a little bit more to his game. He's been putting the ball on the floor a little bit and creating plays for his teammates. So, and I didn't even mention the guys that the Philadelphia 76ers that they already had, guys like Shake Milton, guys like Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris. The Sixers have a severely deep squad, and what makes a deep squad even better is when you're super good at the top. So I love what I'm seeing for the Philadelphia 76ers, and I think this is the best team that they had in the Joel Embiid era. But that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.